I think Iranian politics is much more complicated. Polls consistently show that there's a high degree of legitimacy in the eyes of ordinary Iranians with regards to the Islamic Republic itself. And it's not as if those who don't vote, they oppose the Islamic Republic. There are maybe 10% or so that are dislike it, but more or less people support the system. These are polls that different institutions, Iranian and foreign, carry out. The reformist camp and the so-called principalist or conservative camp, they too each constitute maybe 20, 25% of the Iranian population each. But they are very diverse in themselves. Dr. Pezeshkian is a, let's say, centrist reformist candidate. He's not a radical, just like he's not the same thing as, let's say, the previous president, Dr. Rouhani. He has his own calculations, his own worldview, but the reformist camp is fully solid behind him because they feel that he is the closest to what they want to achieve. On the other hand, the conservative or the principalist camp, as they say, they are very divided as well. And so you actually do see overlap between Dr. Pezeshkian and Dr. Jalili when it comes to social justice issues. And you also see, let's say, a more, let's say, liberal stance when it comes to Dr. Ghalibaf, Dr. Pezeshkian.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you're making, because Jalili is seen as the more hard right, and you're saying that he actually has things in common with the reformist candidate. As you say, it's not black and white. It is a very complicated picture in Iran. How strong would you say the reformist movement in Iran is? Did the protests in 2022, following the death of, Mahsa Amini for refusing to cover her hair, did it have an impact on the movement at all?
Well, first of all, she didn't die because she wasn't covering her hair. I think the footage later showed that quite clearly. And she collapsed in a hall. She showed no sign of physical injury, and her hands were not tied when she was leaving the police vehicle. This is something that certain centers of power in the West, through the Persian media, they began to promote inside Iran, and they were fomenting unrest. And by the time the footage came out, it was already too late, and we had riots in the country. So her tragic death was not, there's no evidence that she was beaten or anything like that. But the reformist movement is not opposed to the Islamic Republic of Iran. There are elements within the reformist movement that are opposed. But you have to keep in mind that someone like Dr. Pezeshkian considers himself to be a staunch supporter of the Islamic Republic. So if he comes to power, he is not. We have a very broad range of views in this country, and we do have competitive elections. And I think that except for one or two instances, the turnout. In fact, a good example. When the highest turnout was during the second term of Ahmadinejad, which was 85%. So the highest turnout gave results that were not reformist.
Okay.
Then you had very high results for the previous president, Khatami and Rouhani, later on. And I think that shows that many people who voted for Mr. Khatami also voted for Mr. Ahmadinejad, and they also voted for Mr. Rouhani, and many also voted for President Raisi. And we saw the funeral turnout, and those people who were on the streets were not affiliated to any particular party. So as I said, politics in Iran is very complicated.
Mr. Marandi, thank you for your analysis. That is Mohammad Marandi from Tehran.
Thank you.